Hi, as probably a lot of you know, we're running this Battle of Britain, the People's Project. And that's all about a bit of a last sweep, really, to see what's out there. Now, my research has always been original. I always do my own research and I always try and seek out material that's not been seen before. So doing that and tracing families, it's astonishing that even today, how much material is out there that's unseen. So I thought, well, with the People's Project, instead of going out there and having to trace people, let's see if people will come to us. So that there's a chance then of getting the material in the 8-volume official history that I'm writing for the Battle of Britain Memorial Trust and National Memorial to the Few. And it is absolutely astonishing that even now, 84 years after the Battle of Britain, there is still material out there that's unseen. And it's just incredible. Now, one of the people who contacted me early on in the project was Tony Osmand. And Tony was 2 when his father was killed, who'd flown Hurricanes down at Exeter. It's an interesting story. Now, this is the young man concerned, Alexander Osmand, who was from London, went to St. Paul's and studied electrical engineering at Imperial College. Joined the Royal Air Force Volunteer Reserve in 1938, so that's the sort of time of Munich when it's quite clear there's going to be a war with Germany. And like everybody else in the reserve, is mobilised 1st of September 1939, called up for full-time service for the duration of the emergency. And as we all know, war was declared on the 3rd of September 1939. Now, this is very sad. Tony has preserved his parents' photograph albums, which are really amazing. And this is particularly moving. I don't think you can see this. This is 3rd of September 1939. These are young people just enjoying their lives. And it says, war or peace. And this is Alexander and friends with Marjorie, his fiancée, who he married in October 1940, Tony's mum. And it's just such a document. Going through this, just, you know, a family, holidays, all sorts of different things, and brilliant pictures of Gatwick. So probably a lot of us have flown from Gatwick going on holiday, and it's amazing to think that actually Gatwick was there. It was part of where people train. I mean, here's the Beehive building at Gatwick that you may be familiar with, and here are these young men, the volunteer reservists, training at Gatwick. So it's an extraordinary thing that these albums, there are 2 of them, that have survived. And the other thing that has survived, I'm very pleased to say, are the logbooks, Tony's dad's logbooks. Now these are really precious. This is the fighter pilots, or every RAF pilot have one of these, pilot's flying logbook, in which is recorded all of the flights, the dates, time up, time down, the sortie or the length of the flight, and any comments. And Alexander Osmand went up to 213 Squadron up at Wittering after doing his training at 602U Sutton Bridge. And then, of course, the squadron goes down to Exeter. Now, the Battle of Britain, we tend to think of it in terms of London and the southeast, Kent, Sussex, Essex, but actually there was an extraordinary amount of fighting over the West Country area, and particularly the area between Portland and Southampton and Portsmouth, and all over that way. Really, really, really heavy fighting, particularly in July and August. And on August the 11th, Convoy Peewit, massive battle, massive, over this convoy in the channel out there. And in fact, it was then that we lost more pilots than on any other days in the Battle of Britain. Those days fighting over those convoys in August off Portland. Incredible. And on the 11th of August, Alexander's written patrol over Plymouth onto Portland at 15,000 feet. Action! Exclamation mark. Ran into Ju-88 supported by Me-109s and 110s. About 120 altogether. No luck. Got shot up by an Me-109 and crash landed at base. Now the amazing thing about this young man is about 22 years old, and it's written in the style of a gung-ho adventure. It must have been terrifying. And then we go on, you see, August the 12th, patrol route Rame Head, 15,000 feet, chased Fulmers of Fleet Air Arm on way back. Later that day, patrolled Portsmouth and Portland at 12,000 feet, chased Me-109s and 110s to France, where they circled, got chased out of it by 109s. And so it goes on. Oh, this is a good one. So August the 13th, patrolled Portland below cloud at 2,000 feet. Saw a plane crash through cloud into the sea. La Richelieu, who was a Canadian pilot on the squadron, went up, gave tally-ho, and we ran into 50 109s and 110s. I chased a 109, got a 110 on my tail, then gave a 109, which appeared close in front, 2 long bursts. It went down smoking through the cloud. I saw 2 in the sea below. August the 15th. Now this was the day, the heaviest fighting of all during the Battle of Britain, on a massive front from Cornwall right the way up to Sunderland. Absolutely astonishing. The day that Luftwaffe 5 in Norway was defeated in a single day. But down in the West Country there, Alexander is patrol Portland at 20,000 feet, but ran into enemy aircraft at 15,000. Saw about 60 Junkers 87s, 60 Me-110s and several Me-109s. We went for the 110s. I got in a good head-on burst at one, a long deflection shot at another, then lost the fight, chasing a 109 into cloud. On this show, A flight got 10 and B flight 9, with only 1 lost. Well, those claims, of course, are exaggerated. We've got a podcast about losses and claims and the difficulties with the speed of combat, deceiving the human eye. But what a brilliant entry. And in the actual book, this is all in volume 3, where every single day, every minute, every pilot's combat, every squadron action, every raid is forensically deconstructed. So it'll all be in there. August the 16th. Now, of course, this is the day on which Brindy Nicholson wins his Victoria Cross over Southampton, rightly or wrongly. And we have patrol at 10,000 feet, first to start point, then 10 miles south. Vector to Portland at 15,000 feet, 10 miles out to sea again, then on to Ringwood at 20,000 feet. Dived onto Spitfires, very much to the book. Back to base with little fuel. August the 18th, what Alfred Price called the hardest day. Patrol Portland, 15,000 feet, onto St. Catherine's Point, where I was attacked by 3 Me-109s, which tried to pick me off at rear of squadron. So he's weaving at the back of the squadron. And the weaver was the most vulnerable, time and time and time again. The 109s are so high up. In October, they were at 31,000 feet. And it's fascinating as you study the Battle of Britain on a day-by-day basis, and you see that it starts off 15,000 feet, 20,000 feet, 25,000 feet, 27,000 feet, 28,000. And then by October, the Spitfires are having to get up to 30,000 because they've got the high altitude capacity. And even then, the 109s are 1,000 feet higher. I mean, all that's worth a podcast because it really is interesting. And height and surprise and sun in fighter combat is everything. It's 31,000 feet. Anyway, so, and then those 109s would come fast diving past, bang, 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 and away. None of this dogfighting if they could get away with it because they were playing to the strengths of the aircraft, which because it had a fuel injected engine, the 109 was very fast in the vertical dive. So it will be bang, 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 banging away, an ambush, you see, and the Weaver behind the squadron gets shot down. The rest of the squadron just carries on, completely oblivious. Happened time and time again. Anyway, fortunately, they didn't get him. But he was attacked head on, got burst in windscreen, glass in my eyes. So Alexander's wounded then. And he's off for a few days, and he comes back, and so it goes on until the squadron is retired off to Castletown, and he moves on to 3 Squadron, and then goes into all kinds of things, instructing, target towing, all sorts of stuff, but clearly very keen to get back to operations, by which time he's got a 2-year-old son. And the amazing thing that Tony has got is this Hurricane model, which is plastic. I think it's one of the very first frog models, which stands for flies right off ground. And this is actually a model that Alexander made for Tony when Alexander was at Exeter. So that is a real relic of the Battle of Britain. Astonishing, isn't it? There we are. And Tony had also kept his dad's wings of his tunic. So they're quite something, aren't they, really? You really had to earn those. Had to be a Superman to get those, in my opinion. And the other extraordinary thing is these letters. So here, now in my office, for example, I used to write about 1,000 letters a year to Battle of Britain pilots, and probably did that for over 15 years as our correspondence developed. And I've got all of their replies. But what I don't have are my letters to them. So it's only half the story. I mean, nobody would be interested in my letters because I'm only asking them questions, but you get the point. Usually with letters, you only have one set of letters. This is incredible because throughout a period between about 1938 and 1943, we have both sets. We have Marjorie's, Alexander's wife, Tony's mother. We have Marjorie's letters to Alexander and Alexander's letters back to Marjorie, and they're fascinating. And some of these we've been able to quote in the first few volumes of the official history, because it's so interesting where Alexander's writing to his wife about goings on in the squadron and the action and things that are happening, and she's writing back about things that are happening in their life. Life had to go on, and they were bombed out in London and Bristol and all this sort of stuff, so absolutely fascinating. But then, after a spell on 129 Squadron flying Spitfires over Europe, Mark 5s and Mark 9s, Alexander's a flight lieutenant by then. We're talking about September 1943, when he sent out to India and Burma to fight the Japanese. Now, this is second logbook now, which is equally fascinating, and based at Chittagong with 261 Squadron flying Hurricanes. And what the Hurricanes are really there for is ground attack, I guess, supporting the army against the Japanese army. And there's a lot of stuff going on just in a few days, of course, for a few days here. Convoy patrol, formation practice, leading the squadron on formation practice. He's an experienced pilot by now with 931 flying hours. So we're an experienced chap. Patrolling a convoy off the mouth of Sangу River. A high-speed stooge, which I guess is a patrol, nothing seen. And then over the page, patrolling convoy in poor weather, October the 17th, Pordeaux, got too far south of the area. Now the thing about this is that you end up with kind of thing, actually no, it is his writing. 2 scrambles. On the 20th, the Japanese attacked Chittagong, 30 bombers escorted by 0 fighters and so on. And they were after Chittagong airfield. So Alexander and 261 Squadron are scrambled and he's shot down. He's shot down by a 0. And this is the really sad thing. It says, it's always in somebody else's hand, obviously. After an operational scramble to intercept Japanese raiders, Flight Lieutenant Osmand crashed and was killed. And then you've got the red stamp, killed in action. And that was that. So that then leaves poor Tony, who's 2 years old, without a father, and his father is buried in Chittagong, which is now in Bangladesh, long way from home. The other thing Tony's kept is his father's medals, which are absolutely wonderful. And the brilliant thing about this is we've got the Burma Star, the Aircrew Europe Star, the 1939-45 Star, which has on it the all-important Battle of Britain clasp, or Battle of Britain bar, which was awarded to aircrew who flew operations between the 10th of July and the 31st of October 1940. So understandably, Tony is very proud of his father, rightly so, and we're delighted to have access to this material, which I'm now able to curate for Tony and use it to the best of our advantage to tell the story. It's a story that needs to be told. So thanks for listening. If you enjoy our channel, lots of stuff like this coming, personal stories really, in addition to the wider strategy and story of what's going on in the Battle of Britain, that we're going to be bringing you through videos, through podcasts, as we progress with our journey. And I hope it's a journey you'll come on with us. So if you like what we do, please subscribe to the channel. It's free, and help us grow the community. Any comments, any feedback, please leave it on the video below, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.